Linda,
Tristan, Lockie,
Joe,
Navi,
Marty,
Tony,
Julia,
Timor.
Ross,
Tass. Christine Gilbert.
and Bob.
With my ears out, I can't hear anything.
Don't need to. Your silence sings.
Yeah. And I'm always amazed, especially as time, so-called time goes on. Sitting here this morning again, the room was empty. It was still, silent, emptiness. Then a couple came in, a couple more, and each one brought with them the life and energy that each and everything is. And there's sort of an empathy, a warmth, a joyousness is in this room now. And it's not attributable to any one person. It is in each and every one of us. And it seemingly becomes more complete, more whole, the more and more that are here. Now, that's what we try to point out to, that everything is that one life, that one intelligence, that one being. That's what the way back, if you call such a thing as way back, which would be a referral to time, but when you look at time, you see that's a concept also. When this hasn't been known, there is expressed through some pattern, shape or form, which is like the pattern, shapes and forms that are here, different bodies. But they're not the same bodies. Each one is a unique expression. That shows and describes the multiplicity of ways that it can express in every pattern, shape and form. And every pattern, shape and form is that. And they put the label God on it. When you look into what is God, isn't that aware, awake intelligence that is expressing through each and every one of you? We give it the name of a separate or higher power. And they tell you in the scriptures, the Lord thy God is one God. There is nothing other. It is absolute. It is the great perfection. Only that. And that, in its unicity, absoluteness, cannot say or do anything. But it needs patterns, shapes and forms to express through. And that life or intelligent entity that it is came from life itself. It's another expression of life. It came from your father and your mother, and they came from their father and mother. Life is a spontaneous continuity, always ever fresh and ever new in this moment. Because when you look at this moment into the concept of time, past, present and future, and you go back and what's their memory of it can be recalled, and it's not fully there because a lot's forgotten. Present is this immediacy right now, and the future is an anticipated and imagined concept of what will happen. But they describe it as ever fresh, ever new, spontaneous. Time is duration when you look at it. To get from here to there is duration, it takes time. But presence is spontaneous. What is wrong with right now if you don't think about it? You realise you can't say good, bad, pleasant, painful, happy, sad, or anything at all without a concept and a word. They tell you in the beginning was the word. And we have a look at that and investigate. And go back and to what can be remembered or recalled. Can you remember your birth when you came into existence? Well, I can't, and I don't think anybody else can either. Because I didn't have any words then. And I've never seen any little baby waking up, how are you, Dad, or Mum? I want a shit, or this. Life is functioning, the breathing, the heart beating, the hair and fingernails growing. And it's growing, it's living, it's being, it's knowing. And it is intelligence, because it's not an accidental pattern, shape and form. And an intelligence is an awake intelligence, it's not asleep. And being awake is activity and intelligence and knowing. And so I use the term intelligence energy. Being is another way they put it, knowing and loving to be. And have a look at that and see. Anyone who's here is not being. Anyone who's not knowing that or loving to be that. Whatever concepts we came in with, the thoughts or ideas about yesterday or tomorrow, or what I'm going to say, what I'm going to think, I want to do, I don't like this one, or I love this one, or whatever. Stories going on, all about some dead past or some imagined and anticipated future. But what is wrong with right now in this immediate spontaneous presence without any concepts? It's not a static or a stillness. It is being. It is knowing. It is loving to be. And they tell you, they put this term God on this, and they say God is love. Is there anybody here that doesn't know what love is? You've all had that sensation and experienced the sense of a warmth and joyousness that's there. If God is love, then this love that you are experiencing and expressing at any time at all must be God. So instead of trying to find some conceptual image in a stone idol or whatever thing got on the floor or a cross with something tacked to it, realise that you are that. This Nisargadatta says, when you recognise and know that you are that love, people will come to your door. People will sense it in you because innately it is in them. It's been obscured by the concepts, the thoughts, the ideas and images. We've taken on the belief that we are this person. And they all tell you clearly the person's not reality. It's another word we've learned, persona, the mask, a conceptual image we've taken on board. But then people that have understood it will say, like Nisargadatta, say there's only life. Life, being, knowing, loving, living. There is no body who lives a life. We're all bodies here. But it's not that body that is the life, it's the life that's forming the body and living and expressing as the body. To try and tell me you're not that. When you look at it, you can't. You know innately that I am that. And isn't that, you've heard that word before, you've heard that concept before, because that's been passed down through the ages also. I am that. Have we noticed it? Have we believed in it? It's just like I used to say, oh, that's a good one, I'm that, yeah, but what? And wasn't until it was actually recognised and the truth seen that the change came about. I can look back over 90 odd years now, and I can go back and remember the growing part of it and the pressures, the hate, the sadness, the anxiety, the stress, the guilt, and all these concepts, fears and nastiness came up and lived in them and beat the shit out of myself and crooked on the world and everybody around me. Life wasn't too spontaneous or too happy. It was, but it wasn't recognised. It wasn't realised. It wasn't known. It was ignored. And that's why they call it ignorance. Not that we're dull or stupid, we don't know, but it's just we turn our back on our true nature because we learnt words. I am Bob, the Australian, the good fella. A conceptual image that's never questioned, but believed in. And the believed in then has got to do something about it because it's not functioning too well. It's not with this spontaneous living there. It's got some conceptual image based on past events and experiences, dead images. They're being brought up and focused on and catches up and caught in it. There's been a change. There's still traces of it coming up at times. They'll arise, but they can't hang around anymore because, as they say, know the truth. Know it. Be it. Don't just talk about it, think about it, recognise it, investigate. And they tell you the false cannot stand up to investigation. So it's got to be resonated with, it's got to be recognised, or it's not a bit of good to you. But in recognising it and knowing it, what can you do? Well, you must recognise that I am that I am. I'm already that. It's not just mouthing the words, it is the truth. What is that? That is all there is, because look at it in this room. That's the chair, that's the carpet, that's the tree, that's the plant, that's you, that's me. Everything is already that, isn't it? Why do we ignore it? So they say, wake, be aware. Awareness is wakefulness. And the wakefulness is an awake intelligence. Because it's not accidental, it's not willy-nilly. It is a knowing, a being and knowing. And knowing is not what was known. I think I grasped it last week with that knowing, that's dead. That's not what will be known. But right now, here and now, is anybody in this room that's not knowing? You can't negate it. But you're not recognising it. It'd be what the next thought is, and what he's saying is bullshit, or don't like it, or don't like it. The concepts will be going on. But there again they point out the great perfection is non-conceptual awareness. Telling you concepts are thoughts. We take on the thoughts, the word, and believe in the word. And is the word real? Have a look, investigate, drink the word water if you can, swim in it, drown in it. The word fire, cook with it, burn yourself with it, heat yourself. The word I or me, have a look at it the same way. What is I? A concept, a word. But what's it doing? That I amness. Because nothing's argued it will say realise, recognise that I amness. Stay with it. And we think we've got to stay with the thought I am. Repeat it. And it's going to do big things for us. It will not do anything for you. But the realisation that I am that I am that reality, I am that sense of presence, and the recognition of it, there'll be a relaxing into your natural state. And the saying, know the truth will set you free. In knowing it, you are free from the belief that I am this entity, I am this individual, I am this person. And look in the word belief. How can I say belief? What is that? And you realise belief is another concept, another idea. And we've learnt all these words and concepts, kept adding to them, and build up a dictionary full of words, concepts, ideas. And every word we've ever spoken, or anybody else has ever spoken, has been learnt, been picked up. So I've got this conceptual idea that the word is real. But the word is not real. The belief, look at the dictionary definition of that, an unquestioned, not questioned or looked at all, ignored, an unquestioned of something in the absolute of reasoning. Haven't reasoned it out, haven't looked into it, delved in it and said, is this so or not so? Just take a look at it, here I am, this body, mind. An unquestioned acceptance of something in the absence of reason. Acceptance of an alleged fact. Something that somebody said down the road, oh yeah, that sounds good, I'll take it on. You are Bob or Bill, whatever your name parents gave you, I've never questioned that. Why would I? Because as a little child I didn't know any other words to question it at that time. It wasn't until that capacity of reasoning developed, and I didn't learn words till I was a couple of years old. So how could it? But then it carried on for there. The belief carried on, because the parents didn't say, listen, you're not that, look into it and see, because they didn't know either. They said, you are little Johnny, and you've got to be a good little boy or girl, you've got to do this and do that. And then things are not going well, what do? Well, we invent some higher power. We know there is something that's much better that's functioning in this life, so we invent a God. Make stone images, idols and everything else, and worship the messenger and lose sight of the message. And the messengers become saints, sages, saviours and seers, someone that they think knows more and can understand more than what I do. But then there are those that have realised and gone before and will tell you clearly, that is all there is. It's only one. And look at that in your scripture. Hear, O Israel, the Lord thy God is one God, there is nothing other. Thou shalt not make unto thyself any graven images. Many different ways and many different scriptures. Life is living, it's being, it's knowing, it's loving to be, it's Sat Chit Ananda, Nama Rupa. Existence, consciousness, bliss. Is anyone who's not existing right now? Anyone who's not conscious or unaware? You know you're not. You know you are existing, you can't negate it. You know you're not unaware. There is an awareness of the things that are going around you, the hearing, the seeing, the tasting, something. And you don't want to be dead. None of us want to be dead. And what must you be? I can have a look at somebody else that says, so-called Christ said, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. Not the body or the mind, I'm the way, I'm this way. You need to go, look into this. The truth. The truth is that I am. Try and tell me that you're not. That life is functioning, expressing through this pattern as life. And I'll tell you there is only life. That is all there is. There's not you and me in this room. There's only life in this room, as I say. I saw it fill up with life this morning from being empty. No thing. Fill up with life. And continues to renew itself. There is nobody who lives a life. Life lives on life. And out of life more life comes. And know that I am is the sense of presence that life expresses and represents as the thought I am. But it is only life. And they say, be what you are. Be that being. Anyone who's not being right now? And being is not wasing. It's not was. It's what is. Being is loving. Without that beingness, can there be such a thing as love? And if love is God and God is love, you've separated yourself seemingly from this so-called God that we like to worship. Love to be. And that's what the loving is about, being. It's not about not being, it's not being. No, it's about what is, not what was or not what's likely to be. Isness is right now. As I say, it's not was, it's not what will be. Being is not becoming either. It's not what you will become. And that's what we think, if I do this mantra or go to this satsang or do this or do that, I will become something. What have you done if you think you're going to become? Haven't you gone back into the concept of time, which we just pointed out as a fiction? It's an absolute no thing. Omnipresence is another way to use the term God. Total presence. Omnipotence, total power. Omniscience, total intelligence. Total wakefulness, in other words. Anybody can negate that? If you're negating and say, oh, I'm not that, how would you be able to do it if that awake intelligence wasn't there? If that life wasn't there, you're a corpse. What can a corpse do? So are you the body? Are you the mind? Or are you the life itself? And that's what Christ told you. I am the way. That's the way to go through that I amness, that sense of presence. I am the truth. That is the truth. It's not a fiction. It's actual. It's absolute. I am the life. And it says, no one can come to the Father except through me. If you translate that, the Father is that awake intelligence, and the me it's coming through is the sense of presence. I am. If that sense of presence wasn't there, how can you say I am? So that's what we point out here, that you are already that. That is all there is. And you can't become that, because to become something, you've got to go into concept of time. If you look at time, is there a past without a thought, without a concept? What can you say about the past when you were asleep last night? It wasn't until that wakefulness, intelligence came upon you in the morning, you can say anything at all about it, the past. And then what you say about it is you're conceptualising something that's not there right now. But as well as something that's not there right now, there will be ever fresh thoughts, ideas and images come up. Ever fresh, ever new, spontaneous life, expressing in all its diversity, and all its love and all its joy. Letting it resonate, relaxing it, let the sense of it grow. Be with it instead of conceptualising, I am this poor, miserable, unhappy human being that needs to become something. The world's crooked on me, she doesn't like me, she doesn't love me, she doesn't want me, I should do this. All conceptual stories, just let it relax. In its uncontrived singularity is the way they put it. Putting it there in immediacy. Uncontrived, unconceptualised, unthought of. Left as it is. Relax into the pure being. Can you say I am not? You can't. So when you say you can't say you're not, what do you have to try to be? We try to become or be something. Do you have to? If you're relaxed, the being hasn't gone away. The life hasn't stopped. We ignore it, the simplicity of it, the oneness of it all, the ease of being, the knowing and the loving to be. Rest in it, relax into it, and know. Be still. They say in Isaiah, be still and know that I am is that. That we're looking for is what I am. And what is I am? It's the sense of presence. It's not the thought or the word. When the Sagadatta will tell you to stay with the I amness, he's not telling you to stay with the word or what it represents. It represents that sense of presence. Is anyone not aware of being present right now? I don't see us all jumping up and saying, I'm not aware of it. Why? Because innately you all know already. Anyone can negate their beingness. And you all know that you can't negate that. So why do we stay locked into concepts and keep going back to them and reinforcing? Well, that's quite easy to understand too, because 99.9% of the world are coming from that have never investigated. Like I didn't investigate it for years. Took it for granted that I am this person and I need to become something. And so carried on into it. But luckily, some of the others that pointed out it was able to be resonated with and recognised when it was heard. In the hearing, the seeing, the tasting, touching, smelling, the living. All ways to realise and recognise the true nature. And as they said, I think it was Ramdad said, be what you are. What you are, not what you believe yourself to be. And what are you? Well, I am that. I'm that already. If that is the only, if that is the absolute, if that is all there is, do I know of any other? I can see myriads of patterns, shapes and forms around me. But what is animating? Are they separate lives or separate beings? Can any of them live outside of the space it's all appearing in? The pure intelligence, the pure energy? Anyone can live without the breath, the heartbeat, the food? You can't. So all those things are part, or not parts. There are no parts. They're all things that are expressing as that. Try and separate and isolate yourself, which we've been trying to do all our lives, and see if you can. And recognise the futility of it and the unnecessary of it. It's natural to sink and relax back into being and see where it takes you. And just like the earth's rolling around the sun, the seasons are coming and going, tides coming in and out, planets imploding, exploding, things are coming into existence, playing around, disappearing. But life is living on life constantly. And all there is life, as Nisargadatta says. He says there's only life. There's nobody who lives a life. No body. Why aren't you bodies? Believe yourself bodies. Well, that body is not life. It's the life that's forming and patterning the body. And it's forming in a seemingly solid and substantial pattern, shape and form, which we take to be real. And that's how it's appearing and expressing. And that shows the wondrous and amazing intelligence of it all, that it can express and appear in all this diversity. But recognise that it is one, absolute, and if it's absolute, I or you can be nothing other than that. And be what you are. And that'll do, so get into it. Thank you.
Are you inviting me?
Yes. I'm inviting you.
I got you.
Give us my ears.
Cat paralysis.
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have 17 people with us right now, and some hearts and some good mornings. And Jyoti says, good morning all. That baby talking at birth visual was great. And in the meantime, I managed to schedule a couple of appointments and answer a couple of emails, one of which was from Kevin, saying that, oh gosh, I should probably read this, but saying that Bob was his last teacher and he's sending heartfelt gratitude. And those emails, I would just like to mention, are coming. Not that that's not an isolated event. They're coming quite often. I think Kevin been joining Bob on Zoom. So for those who want to send some email like that, you may join Zoom or you may schedule one-on-one appointment. And he was saying after 35 years of search, it suddenly shifted, it clicked, and Bob was the last teacher that actually facilitated, although it was, of course, it's just life expressing as life to life, through life, self to self talk. But I'll read it to you later. And it's been few this month of emails like that, and through a year would be countless. And as we mentioned before, in this room there is quite a beautiful amount of clarity. That's why this is a demonstration. These particular meetings are demonstrations for those who listen. That is not just one messenger. It can really penetrate through. Every one of you has some clarity or complete clarity. Whatever sink in, whatever is obvious is worthy of sharing. And we also have, and this is really cute, we have those cards which contain the pointers, And we actually managed, Gilbert had the idea of creating a play and play cards. So we did go outside and with Dean and Tazi Jane, and we actually created a game in which you just pick a card and you can even play that game with anyone, even if they're not into non-duality. Just describe the picture. When you describe the picture, whatever you see, it will be reflection, it will be recognition, it will be sun, it will be space, it will be sky, it will be emptiness. It will be something that is a reminder of itself. And then you can read the text and see how well you got with the description. That was one way. So one way of playing. Another way of playing, we would just give few cards. Anyway, it's an invitation because the cards costed us quite a bit of money and they will be destroyed soon by Amazon. I'm paying quite a lot for keeping the account, and after 180 days in one warehouse, they will just destroy them. So that's okay. That was just an offering for the form of pointing which has quite an impact. I think on one of our Zooms somebody was saying, Adrian was saying lately, that the written words have a different impact. I mean, you can omit a directness of a pointer by hearing it in a context of a lot of talk. But when you say it in one sentence, when you see it written, and you just sit with that written word, it's really, really difficult to negate it. It's really difficult to not get it in, to not make it penetrate. And all of those pointers, and there is 88 cards, are transformational. Like there's some on the back of the box which are not on the cards. Watch the mind, see how it functions, the one that Gilbert hammers. And see how it mechanically divides everything into interrelated pairs of opposites. Leave everything as it is. And you cannot have a single thought without that functioning intelligence. Even sitting with just one pointer. And I love the way Julia actually designed another use of the cards. She just keeps a box in a car. She's driving the car quite a bit every day. And just having one sit in front and just showing the picture and either one or the other side, because they both, sky and sea, the blueness, the colors, the reflections, they all actually are a wonderful reminders. And the 4 ways of reminding. First is relax. It's not first, any of them. They are just really, it's all pointing to the one, it's only one. Relax, reflect, resonate, and recognize. And they gold, silver, copper, and blue. So, yeah, find a use for them, or if you don't get one yet, they are actually, I dropped the price because, well, yeah, they will get destroyed if they're not sold. And there is another 200 copies, over 200 copies that are available on Amazon. So that's just an encouragement. Apart from that, we have a couple of thanks, Bob, from Liju, and Fi says, love, light, peace and joy resonates for me in the vibrations of your voice, Bob. Thank you for your pointers. And Jane says, wow, I just click on when you said Tazi Jane. Yes. Looking forward to live bringing me back. Yes, I'm really actually quite sorry that we didn't have a quick recording of that beautiful cards play that we did in the wild, in the beautiful sunshine outside, because that would be an inspiration. And yes, Jane, we're looking forward to life brings you back too. Yeah, so now anyone would like to share something, add something, ask question? Or even maybe highlight the way, you know, like I was listening to Bob when I finished the secretary job, and hearing the certainty, hearing the passion, hearing the aliveness coming through the body that is 95-year-old, speaking the truth with such fire, with such joy. It's a demonstration. It's such a demonstration of, and he does it for most of his life, a bigger part of his life. So yes, this is the encouragement for all the clarity in every one of you to actually just bring it up, let it shine. Whatever is clear in the non-dual pointing, whatever is obvious. And it is obvious for everyone that you exist. But there is maybe other ways to point to it. Everyone exists, everyone is aware of existence, is aware of presence. Nothing else is really as certain as the awareness of presence. But there are other beautiful ways of pointing to it, of getting rid of the obstructions, of assisting each other, how to get rid of the obstructions, how to notice what is not happening. When the past and future plays out, that's not the present, that's just a dream, the daydream. When the complaining is happening, the mind that is constantly complaining, oh, it should be warmer or cooler, I should be smarter or whatever. There is a constant engagement with the thinking of what is not happening right now, the complaining, the mind. Julia?
I'll jump in.
Thank you.
I was just saying to you earlier today, I guess something that I like to remind myself sometimes, occasionally, I'll remind others. Any words that we put after is, am, and are is bullshit. Yeah, it's and that word should that you just used, well, I don't think words like shit and fuck are really bad words. That word should, though, there's got a lot of judgment and rooted into that of what should be. And to me, that's kind of a dirty word. Even if there is, I don't know. It's been, I can't describe the gratitude I feel towards you. Both, actually. All of you, and especially you, Bob. To come to understand or even know that listen, anytime that there's an upset happening, it's all that's happening. If there's any conflict going on, is just simply a bullshit belief. It's a belief. That's what's happening, apparently. I'm not doing that. Never did a thing. And when it's seen, oh yeah. You know, it's like, well, it's kind of like turning a light on in the darkness. You know, it's like it won't stand up to the light. It just kind of casts away, falls away, and it's yeah. I think it's a belief to say that people are so, you know, they're not interested in this, because I find people, it's easier for me to talk to people who, I've never heard this. It's so easy to see that, listen, if it were, I mean, I don't know. What's coming to my mind is just like these words that are given meaning. If I say to you, "Sheshe," and you don't, you know, maybe if you speak Chinese, you know I said thank you. But we've given meaning to everything. And that's all that's happening is that if there's anything that we're really attached to, all that's happening is there's a buying it into it in that moment. I can't buy into anything except for just I am. And I love you.
We love you too.
Thank you.
Can I say something on those pack of cards? The beautiful little production, lovely bit of skills of bookbinding and photography, and the words right through it are very. They're reminders. And the thing that struck me first was the theme is the space of the sky and the space of the sea, and Sailor Bob would know those intimately, and of course they they help one recognise the spaciousness and the no-thingness of what the vast open sky and sea reminds one of. But the photographs themselves are quite beautiful. The different nuances of the sunlight and the sea and the sky, and the most important thing, it seems to me, is to recognise this is the words on the front or the side. The first thing is relax. To actually relax, so that you have a chance to stop identifying with the busy thoughts and the mind. Just relax into that oneness, the unity. And then just reflect on that and recognise that, resonate with it. All these pointers are in that little package. It's quite an amazing bit of, distillation. It's a beautiful piece of graphic art, really.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Ross. You want to add something, darling?
I say you want to take that out and print it somewhere. What he just said. Good.
Thank you. So I think we have another comment. Is from Jyoti. 2 mind traits that have been noticed are judgment of oneself, circumstances and others, and the second, chasing the pleasure, more of what brings pleasure, which seems to be very short-lived. Yeah, that's a good insight into the way mind operates. Judgments and chasing pleasure.
Well, you don't have to chase pleasure, you know you are pleasure. Start from that fact.
Yeah.
Let it express.
Yeah, you can see the tendency in which the attention is engaging with that seeking pleasure or judging, comparing, overreacting. That is a great insight. But now watching the mind always happens from that witnessing presence. Mind can't watch the mind because mind is thought, and thought doesn't even have eyes to watch. How can thought watch anything? Thought is a dead piece of words. So what is actually witnessing the mind processes is beyond thinking, is the pure witnessing presence, is the aliveness, is the life that you are. And there is even further to go than just witnessing whatever is appearing, the resting, where the no mind activities is happening. But, well, who is there to have preferences? If the mind activity happens, that's what's being witnessed. If the mind activity relaxes and doesn't happen, well, it's still resting in that uncontrived singularity. So it's just really knowing, the being, knowing, loving to be. Just being and knowing. It's like seeing. Did you want to say something, Marty?
Yeah, my hand does.
Please.
Thank you. So, just investigating the thoughts, and believing that you're one of these thoughts, and then unfortunately those thoughts disappear, and so you can't hold on to even the idea of yourself. Is difficult to hold on to because it just goes, just like sand in your hands, just pours out of your fingers. You can't actually hold on to it. It's actually hard to hold on to a belief of yourself. Harder than being yourself. So if you believe yourself to be this idea, try and hold on to it. You can't. So if you can't hold on to it, and whatever's left, it's still there. I'm guessing that's the life. But yeah, it's probably the best thing, is just seeing that none of the thoughts stick to you. They just come and then they go, and then there's the reminding, or at least there's a habit of reminding yourself of thoughts, and then that creates this illusion that there's the idea's alive, when it's really just the same idea just popping up. But you see, if you start from the place where there's no thoughts, which is, before or after, or even during, you don't even know what the next thought's going to be. Like, genuinely don't know. It's just random, and it pops up, and it appears to be something. Dodgy New Zealander, like Gilbert says. And, I held on to that one for a while.
Bad experience with sheep or something.
I was like, fuck, I'm a dodgy New Zealander. Wait, I forgot. What was I again? Dodgy New Zealander. All right.
Thank you.
I found lately that the thoughts drop off more often, like a reminder pops up more often. There's less like 5 hours in front of the K-drama, for example, and more of, for example, I was reading the Finder's book. This has just been the perfect timing to do it, by Jeffrey Martin. Just reading through it, just constant reminder, what's not thinking. So the not thinking was happening all the way through the reading. And, there's a lot more noticing of sensations, and there's a buzzing head all the way through and all this stuff. But, it was to a greater degree, like the not thinking might go for a minute or something, not just disappear after half a second back into the stream of thought. I'm uncomfortable doing this, like I was saying. And I was thinking a whole lot of things about that before, but so it's really just less stuff there, like no stuff there for a bit longer, and in no stuff, like there's not a sense of presence that's noticed here. There's just no stuff. But then when as Bob said earlier, you look at what stuff is there, like you might be noticing more adrenaline or more sensations. But then the moment there's like, oh, this adrenaline feels good, there's another wee tiny distinction. And then it comes up to knock that out, or it comes up just for what's there. There's no wee distinction happening. And that's when the smile comes up. That's when, the comfy, fuzzy, little fuzzy comes up. Because the wee distinction it occurred. A notion popped up about it going, and it went, and then there was a resultant, what's there when there really are no distinctions at all for a split second. But apart from that, there might be a couple of minutes or a few minutes of just, you're seeing the scenery more clearly and distinctly. Because the thoughts just aren't right in the face, taking up the space. It's really just space, the visual out there, quite an awareness of adrenaline and other stuff here. Not even notions popping up, because I get there's notions come up here before a full phrase. Pops up word by word. There's just a notion that's very brief and not formed, but usually sense what it was about. So even those are being zoomed back from constantly as the scenery is spotted and the sensations are spotted, and there's no looking back at that image, there's no direction anything is spotted from, there's no sense of spotting, There's absolutely no anything about watching. It's just would be total superfluous layer put on afterwards as a concept. That's absolutely not there. So yeah.
Thank you. Did you want to say something, Navi? No? Ah.
Years ago, in time, Bob used to mention the acorn from the oak tree. Each acorn has the potentiality to cover the planet with oak trees. And then he would say, but you take that acorn in a mortar and pestle, you can crush it up, and it's just dust, and you can blow it away. So, where is that potentiality? Where is that expression coming from? Like an oak tree will have maybe 2,000, maybe 3,000 acorns on it, and they don't know each other. They're very similar, brothers and sisters, but they all have something in common. They have the potentiality to cover the earth or a continent with oak trees. And where's my potentiality? What is the absolute infinite potentiality that everything is being expressed from? And am I separate from it? How could I be separate from it? Conceptually, I can separate myself from it. Poor me, I'll never amount to anything. If I was an acorn, I could cover Australia with oak trees. So this is really, it's like this investigation into oneself is imperative. It's essential, really. If you don't want to live your life in suffering and turmoil, then one has to turn around and have a look. Look back into that space. Close your eyes, look back into that space. There's no back to that space. There's no sides, top, bottom. And if you really pay close attention, it's empty. It's like an empty ballroom without the ballroom. And there's nothing in there. There's no one in there riding a bicycle or sweeping leaves from the corner. It's just empty. Cognizing, it's not a dead emptiness, it's a living emptiness, life itself. And maybe the body is not really appearing. The sensations are there, but it's only when you open your eyes and you look at your body, it's like the form appears. But as has been pointed out, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind. So if I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, what am I? And I can't really know what I am as an object. It must be pure subjective, pure subject. The infinite potentiality of expressing. And it's like a seed. It's I think Nisargadatta called it the seed of consciousness, which is ever fresh, ever new, expressing itself. And you can get an oak tree, you can cut it down and chop it up into tiny bits, but you can't put it back in the acorn. You can't put the past into the future, you can't put the future into the past, you can't put the oak tree back into the acorn. So there's no need to, because life is expressing itself ever fresh, ever new. And without a concept, without a word, what am I? That which cannot be negated. That which words don't really touch. Words come out of it, all the things that I've ever said in my life, I can't put them back. It's an expression, and some of it is maybe good, maybe some of it's not so good. And maybe, if I really get into it, I can punish myself for being such an asshole, Other people will punish me. And they've tried. But, it's, what am I? I can't know what I am as an object. It's the subject, the infinite potentiality that is expressing itself constantly, ever fresh and ever new. So all of the words that have ever been said in the past cannot encapsulate, said by anyone or written down by anyone, they can't encapsulate that ever fresh, new. It's new. It's not like new fresh bread. It's going to go stale. It's fresh and new every moment, and even the word moment implies time. So it's timeless. The timeless spirit, the deathless spirit. We put words on it, but the words are never it.
Good work.
Beautiful.
Good
So,
man.
so
We'll have ground acorn soup today.
It's definitely a nutcase.
You got it.
Dean, you go.
all right. So what you're sort of pointing to, Mr. Gilbert, is that like the potentiality that you speak of is that your whole speech today was like all I could hear was that you are that you are that. It was like very relentless, very powerful. Like it was quite incredible. I don't know. That was just vibrating. Like just shut the fuck up. You're that. It's like there's no question. There's no word. There's no other. And what is that? Like that is. What is that? That is the potentiality. That is the source of everything that is appearing. And like as Bob says, this is that. The cat is that. The floor, the hat, everything is that. And wow. Oh, you also use these other two words. You said I haven't heard it expressed like that as spontaneous continuity. Yeah, and that was really, I haven't heard that before, but that's like perfect description of timelessness, because it's not a moment, it's spontaneous, and but it appears continuous, and it's sort of, you could describe it that way, and and I don't know, other good stuff, but this is really just
Like the me is time, the mind is time, but what we are, there's no we, but what I am is intemporal. It's not time. There's no time involved in it. It doesn't have a beginning or an end. It's like Bob points out that space doesn't have a centre. It doesn't have a circumference or a boundary. It's who knows? Space may be God. And the universe is the image of God, which is in space. But take away all these words, God and all the rest of it, because they're all, potentially get caught up with my God's better than your God and whatever. Without a word, what am I? That's a really good question to ask myself in the privacy of my own privacy. If there is such a thing.
John.
As I said before, all the words are bullshit, but that word potential can sometimes, I don't know, it tends to, in this mind, evoke this idea of a future, what could be. Once upon a time, my poor ex-boyfriends were the victims of Julia's falling in love with their potential. But you could be this. You could be that. How poor guys. It was like
You're not good enough as you are.
That's exactly right. And so I was like, as a result of my falling in love with their potential, I was like, you're certainly not good enough now, And now you need to do this, and you got to become this, and definitely not enough now. It dawned on me actually one time, that really what's potential is what is. You couldn't be anything other than what is. Nothing could be other than what is. Mm-hmm. This is it. This is potential is right here, right now. Anything else is a dream. The cat disagrees.
Yeah.
Yeah. Potentially.
You can fix that.
That's all. If it could have been differently, it would have been. It's like another belief we have is could have, should have. I sorry, went over that should, but that could have.
But my world.
Yeah.
Do you want to be a part of my world? You're not good enough. You end up on your own.
Yeah. But it is really, it's a good point, Julia, the words can be deceiving. But the way Gilbert expressed it, and I like it because
it's beautiful. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
I
No, you actually added a spice to it because this is a really good point. That's how the words can actually get contrived and misunderstood. That's why we like to highlight the points. See, the potentiality versus actuality, they are not two, because they can't be separated. It's like Shiva and Shakti, or sky and whatever appears on the sky. That's the thatness, what Dean was talking about. That you are. What's that? That's everything. What's not that? There's nothing that's not that in a language of pointing. But really, the potentiality of thatness is before it even actualizes as that. The potentiality that you saw in your ex-boyfriends wasn't the actuality. Now, in this present moment, potentiality is kind of theoretical, it's a space, and actuality is the Maya, is the dream. So the boyfriend actualized as that. And this is pure perfection. This is the manifestation of the absolute, of the totality. It dances itself as that. So not seeing perfection in that is obviously just arguing with realities, arguing with life. How you call it? It's basically believing the complaining mind, which is designed to always negotiate better conditions than that which are, to always not be satisfied with what is. And that has fantastic survival function. There's nothing wrong with that seeking mind, which always wants you to have a better job maybe, or like better house, whatever. It's nothing wrong from the survival perspective. But mind is the operational function for the machinery, for the body. But what you are is, as Gilbert said, it's not the body-mind. You are prior to the body-mind. The body-mind is a vehicle through which that you are, that which you are, experiences and expresses. So from that perspective, the seeking pattern is not wrong either. The seeking pattern causes suffering when you believe that there is a seeker which is not enough and needs to find something to complete itself. When you look at the natural world, you look at the animals, show me the animal that will not seek for shelter or for food or for pleasure. They all do, because the bodies are designed to do that. But there is no idea that there is a little me, whatever, tiger or cat or whatever, that is doing the seeking because it's not enough as it is. So that conceptual narrative isn't present, and that is what causes the suffering. So that is to be seen true. Tony, did you want to add something?
Just a brief, you're reminding me, make me think I like to take things all back to oneness or energy or whatever, but just whether there's a move to more clarity or less clarity could be visualized like the energy going to a place of less pressure or being sort of stuck in a sticky way to sort of denser stuff. So, I think it can be misinterpreted when people say, oh, be careful about getting stuck into psychology and stuff like that. But really, it's just a movement to a place of less pressure and more clarity. that's going to happen anyway. Or a movement to a stickiness that's inbuilt into that particular unravelling of energy. And even unravelling is a concept, so I didn't like to put that in. But movement along to the stickier area that stays less dense.
Yeah, beautiful. Nice.
When this body was younger, at a...
Was that yesterday?
How can I tell a story with you guys? God's sakes. If you want to sit in silence, I'll pass it on. I had this cold, like a fever, and my temperature got so high I started hallucinating, and my memory still remembers the image. It was basically the world, and it was exploding, and I thought I was on it, and I remember crying and thinking, "Fuck, the world's ending," and it was the most terrified of probably one of the most terrified moments that I experienced. And where is it now? It's gone. So it's like, your mind can make you believe that the world's ending, and you can experience, that suffering or whatever. But it's just, I guess, the mind that creates it, and the idea or whatever the story that was being told is no longer there. But if I believed in that story, then I would keep telling myself, and I would keep experiencing the world ending. But I'd rather not let it go.
Beautiful. We have the comment from online community. This is from Catherine. Nisargadatta's quote, "I am the absolute absence of anything imaginable or cognizable," or "I am the absolute presence of the unknowable potentiality." Beautiful. Thank you, Catherine. Yeah, that's sweet. Yeah, he's got such poetic language, doesn't he? Did you experience that poetry of his language when it was translated by, who was it? Who was the translator?
Mulapatan. Saprai.
Yeah, a couple of them. Did they manage to put it in words in that poetic manner?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so it is not Maurice Friedman. It is actually Nisargadatta's beautiful gift. Yes, so many really, really gorgeous poetic descriptions, and those descriptions are so heartwarming and so touching. Although Bob's descriptions, which are maybe less poetic, but they're punching. They punch you in the nose. They undeniable, and they put in such an ordinary and simple way. Because Nisargadatta, I had few conversations with people who absolutely love his way of describing things, but who were completely lost in the description. They would say, I thought I had pretty good clarity on the topic, but when Nisargadatta says this and that, oh no, I can't relate to this. And who can't relate to what Bob is saying? It's just so simple. You know that you are. Like what Marty was saying, thoughts are not stitched in your head, they move on. Well, right. And I loved it was on, we have the Zoom meetings also for the European people and Australians in the evenings. And what a beautiful, incredible realizations happened on those meetings. The last couple of meetings we had one man who is he's a professor, extremely intelligent, who is actually, you listen to him and you can fall in love with the story because he's speaking with such flow. Although you see it's a story, you see it's a dream. And then he shows up again and he says, "I'm listening to you guys now. I think I had final realization. You don't seem crazy anymore." And the stuff that I was sharing, well, there's nothing to say about that. It was a good story. And then another one we had recently, who actually put it out in a way that is so worth repeating. And it's like a really simple punchline of Bob's pointing. Well, I thought it was something to recognize or realize, but it is really just just seeing that it is already happening, just ticking down the checklist, right? I'm not unaware, right? Yep, tick. I'm not unconscious, right? Yep, I'm happy to be. I don't want to be dead. Yep, tick. That's right. So that's it. Yep, that is it. If there is anything that stands in the way, well, just take it off the checklist. This is the baseline, the awareness of presence. So this is the beauty of the pointing, which, yeah, is the unique style, which is so wonderfully down to earth. Maybe not as poetic, although I do love the metaphors that Bob is using too. But you don't really need to be that smart, although very often we have people who are pretty smart, and that extends their search indefinitely because they believe that because they are that smart, they will eventually be the first one in the world who does find the answer in the mind. But that's never going to happen because the mind is duality. There is no answer there. I mean, there is tons of answers to the dream, absolutely. There's thousands of recipes and things like that, potentially in the thinking. But how the noise can get to silence, how the division can get to oneness, how the vibration can enter the stillness, it can't. It has to stop. Mind is the vibration, the thinking, the noise, the narrative. There is no answer there. No matter how smart you are, there is no answer there. It can't be found. So it is that simple. Tick the check. You're here. You're existing. Yep. Here, now. Not unconscious. No. Prefer for being than suicide. Yep. As you can see, evidently. That's it. That's it. Relax into that. And see what obscures it and ignore it. If, of course, there's no one there to ignore or not ignore or do anything at all. But it's just really tuning into the frequency of that inspiration. That is what the descriptions are to do. And surprisingly enough, which we can see on the Zooms and through the emails, miraculously enough, it does actually do something. It does do something to that life, to break through the filters of this density of conceptualizing. Because that what happens. Life is never bound. Life is always free. Whether it expresses itself through, the clear seeing, or through, I don't know, some sort of a colored glasses or tinted glasses or whatever, whether it expresses itself as clear pointing or through the stories or metaphors, it's still the same life. It's never bound. But the potentiality is there to not suffer. To not suffer. The human story lasts as long as the body lasts. The dream lasts as long as the body lasts. And why not? It is to be loved. It is to be appreciated. The stories, the dreams, the bodies, the pleasures, all of it. It's beautiful. And the appreciation is only fully embraced when there is no double bind, when there is no personal element, which the moment you find pleasure, you're already fearing that you're going to lose it. What a sabotage is that? To relate everything to imagined self that can never be found. And then seeing how this body-mind brilliantly, perfectly works of its own. How the hair are growing, how the thoughts are happening and they are being expressed. Nobody does that. So life unfolds as it should. And then, seeing that body responding to the environment as if they were really one. The body responds to the weather, it responds to the food, it responds in its unique way, as if they were one. Maybe they are. Maybe the boundary that we put, that this I finish where the skin finish and outside is not I. Maybe they're beautiful and practical for the communication, but maybe that is for what they are only. And in reality, they can't be separated. The body can't be separated from the breath. It can't be separated from the water. Can't be separated. It is made of food, really. and it is constantly responding to everything around it. And that you are, the totality, the wholeness. And that was another beautiful little a shift that happened on one of our Zoom meetings. That suddenly one of the participants, she said, no, I want to hear it again. Is that really true? Is that true that you can never know what you are? Bob, don't you know what you are? And I said, I don't have a clue. Bob said, nope. Who wants to know? Who needs to know? You know that you are. You know that you are. You can't say you don't know that you are. You know that you are. And we sometimes, instead of saying that you are, we say you are that, and that represents everything. But that can get a little bit heady. And we had a person once in the meeting who actually, I don't know if that was a breakthrough or if that was a little bit going off with the birds. He suddenly took the very noisy plastic bag and he says, this is what I am. I am that. And he just scratched the plastic bag. Because he was so full of excitement, I didn't actually call him on that. I say, really? Is that the direct experience of this moment? Or is it just some sort of a crazy imaginary dream? Because the direct experience is that you are. What you are, you don't know. You can't experience that without a thought. You can experience it when you believe, oh, I'm the body, or I'm the mind, or I'm the soul, or I'm the angel, or devil, or whatever, I'm good enough, not good enough. When the belief is there, yes, surely there will be an experience, physical experience, there will be some sort of an experience. But without the thinking, without imagination, what you are, you can't say. But that you are, you can't deny. That you are.
Yeah, in the early part you said, pointed out there's no one there. But when we hear that, we think it's zero. They don't say the absolute is not there.
Yeah.
It's absolute. Absolute is prior to the one even. It includes the one, includes everything.
Pure potentiality. And this is beautiful because it's no thing. I love the way Bob says it's not nothing, it's no thing. Because it is experienced as the radiance, as the knowing, as the being. It is experienced. Even though that's not a sensory experience. It's not, you can't talk about sensory experience of being or knowing because there isn't any temperature or shape or form or pleasure, nothing. 10 minutes to go.
I just remembered something from one of the meetings years ago. You said to somebody, be warm towards yourself. Give yourself a little smile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Recognise that true nature that you are.
Yeah. I mean, smile is, it's like a little glimmer of love, isn't it?
Yes.
When you see, not fake smiles, but, that's something else. But, it's very infectious, a smile.
Well, the knowingness seems to well up when you're warm towards itself.
Yeah.
Natural joyousness of it all.
Yeah. Stop giving yourself a hard time.
And you said it also, a wink and a nudge. Give yourself a wink and a nudge and a hug and express the loving to be, because that's inevitable. When the suffering is absent, that's just naturally wells up. We've also seen people who actually claim that they got it conceptually and they're depressed. Nothing makes sense. There's no meaning in anything. Why even bother? Well, who says that? There is no such thing as intellectual understanding. It cannot be grasped in the mind, by the mind.
An absolute can never be separated. Can't be divided. It's total.
Yeah. And I love, because that also comes quite often in the emails, and I don't have a judgment. I actually totally feel for people who say it, because I was there myself. I knew all the concepts. I could recite it at night. I could speak about it. But there was experience of suffering. Even though we had the concepts of no self and the glimpses and the longer glimpses, but there was still a sense of established entity who would claim, I had a glimpse and now I've lost the glimpse. So I do actually understand when people say it, that it's just genuine expression of what is happening, what is being believed. But the truth is, there's no such thing as intellectual understanding. There isn't. You either know it or you don't. And the truth is, you do. Everybody does. Everybody knows that they are. Everybody knows that they are. It's just the idea, the but, that comes after. I know, but. I know, but I don't experience it. Well, how could you experience knowing that you are? There is no experience to it. It's pre-sensory. It's prior to senses. It's pre-sense. Doesn't have an experience. Yeah, but I know it, but I'm not convinced. Well, who is there to even be convinced? And what sort of conviction does it really need? Can you deny it? You can't. It's really, everybody is fully convinced, 100% that they exist. Nobody can deny their existence. It's just that somehow there are things that are prioritized, that are more important. And it's usually just the mind seeking pleasure. Well, where is my pleasure? Where is my bliss? Where is my enlightenment? I know that I am. I know that I exist, but that's not good enough. It doesn't feel blissful. Well, it does when there is no distraction. There is a subtle joyousness, the love welling up, the joy of being, the pleasure of being, even the pleasure, you could call it that. But it only shows up when distractions are absent. Not absent, they can be there totally. I mean, oh my goodness, the sky can be covered with clouds, but attention doesn't go there. Attention rests in the being. The clouds, the body still functions, the conversations are happening, the whatever bills are being paid, all those functioning goes on. But the heart stays with the truth, the certainty of being. The mind is utilized from there when necessary, rather than mind being dysregulated and using 100% of attention, and the reality, which is the heart of hearts, being completely ignored and forgotten. When the heart is with the reality, mind functions the way it should and is utilized. It is more creative because there is no personal aspect. Oh, what people are going to say, what are going to think of me, oh, I'm not good enough. The energy is not wasted for that stupid narrative, that relating self-referencing narrative, which reference to the ghost, to the imagined, the phantom. What an energy, what a waste of energy. And of course, nobody does it. It's life. It's life doing it. Life creating a phantom. Nobody's guilty. Nobody's stupid. It's life. But it's also life who puts this beautiful man in here and all that clarity in this room to shine the truth and offer that frequency of resonating.
I always relate the butts to a smoker. When you're a smoker, what do you get in? What do you do with the butt? You throw it away. But when the butt comes in and the thought, what do you do? We've reignited it, starting another story. And it's a burnt up story, it's not the truth. Mm-hmm. So drop the butts.
I've seen people pick up butts and smoke them.
Yes, that's true. Nowadays they would go, what they call the bumper stoppers.
Yeah.
Sticking a pin in it.
You were a smoker too. Are you guilty of that?
Yep.
If you're really clouded, yeah.
Yep.
But Bart restarts it up again.
Mm.
So-and-so but, and then you another story.
Yeah. Yeah, as if the certainty of presence wasn't really significant enough. The miracle of existence, something that is so exquisite and extraordinary and brilliant and radiant and beautiful. Give me something else. That's the mind. Not this, something else. Just notice it, because the more you notice it, the more light is shone on that tendency. And that tendency can only go on in the darkness of unconsciousness. Once it is seen, that bats, that not this. Once it is seen, it already starts shifting. It already starts dissolving.
Yeah, but.
Yeah, but no but.
Yep. And we have a comment from Bob Perry. I love the way you contrasted that you are with I am that. It's are-ness, not thing that you are, since there is no you to be. Beautiful. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love the way you highlighted it. There is no you to be that. That's brilliant. Thank you. And that's just potentiality. That is a potentiality. It's not a thing, really. It's all the things and no things, because everything is no thing. Like Nisargadatta says. You want to say something?
Yeah, it's interesting, the word that. You know, it's kind of innocuous. It has no qualities of its own. You know, it's just, if you look it up in the dictionary, it's, you know, you get some sort of few words about it. But, you know, everything is that. But it's not a thing. That is not a thing.
Yeah.
It has no qualities of itself. And therefore, you can't really get caught up in that. And everything is that. So
beautiful.
That's that.
That's that. I also saw or heard people calling it it.
So that everything is that, and that is everything. Works both ways.
And we have a beautiful comment from Bradley. But is a delete button for clarity. Oh my God. Yeah, you got to write your pointers in a book. I'll buy it. Please. Price it as much as you want. They are brilliant. But it's a delete button for clarity, and that was the alarm for that.
That's that.
That's that.
Anything but that.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks, Kat.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.